Hello, ladies. Welcome to another True Serum Tuesday. I don't know how many I've done now. I've probably done at least 20. And for those of you that have been on here since the very beginning, thank you so much. Hey, Veronica, how are you? So I want to make sure to welcome everyone that comes on, and make sure that if you do log on that you say hi in the comment section. Let me know that you're here. I'd love to say hi to you. And don't worry, I can't see you on the other side. I can only see your name and a little bitty picture. So you don't have to worry about that. And so tonight's going to be a really interesting topic, and I'll explain a little bit more why I decided to talk about this, because I had a different topic set out for this evening, and I just thought, that's not really what's in my heart. So I wanted to share with you what was in my heart for today and what's really coming across for me. The couple other things I want to make sure to mention: if you live in the Reading area, we are Girls Incorporated, who I am a volunteer facilitator for, is hosting the Embrace video at the Cascade Theater. So if you're in town and want to check that out, make sure to check it out online. See if you're interested in going. It's probably appropriate for girls ages 13 and up. And so it's about body image and things like that. So I'm really glad to be a part of an organization that wants to bring that to the Reading area. So I'm really happy. And spread the word too with your friends. I'm going to put a post on here again pretty soon, and then I'll put one on my Rachel Freeman Sowers page. So just make sure to share that post on your page so that we can get as many people there. And the tickets only cost $10, so it's not really expensive, and that's what's really great. I think there will be some grants for some girls that are going to be coming from the girls empowerment groups that we run in some local schools, so I'm excited about that. And let's see, what else did I want to make sure to mention? I can't remember. I'm feeling a little bit scattered, been working all day. And so tonight we're going to talk about suffering and how it's not a prerequisite for joy and happiness and love and all of those things. This week I've encountered so many people and so many women that have been suffering for so long. And the people that I've been working with, these women, are really beginning to find out that they can have an opportunity to do something different. So I'm wondering, and if you're watching live or if you're going to watch at a later time the recorded, please put your comments below. But I'm wondering how many women out there feel like it's never, I don't know, I guess I would say their life never comes to be what they maybe had thought it was, or they feel stuck. They feel stuck in this place of always feeling overwhelmed, of always not feeling like they've accomplished enough, of always not feeling like they're a good enough mom or a good enough wife, or maybe even measuring up to other women that you see. And instead of like aspiring to be like them, you compare yourself to them. Those are some of the things I've heard most. The other thing I'm hearing a lot of is this long-lived beginning of life stages when we really are just adopting the beliefs and doing what we're told when we are being raised as like children or teens or whatever. And then there comes some discomfort. There comes some, it doesn't mesh as much. And I'm so passionate about helping people and their suffering. And the majority of our suffering is self-caused. And sometimes it's hard to get out of that pattern. But when you do, you're really able to live a life you never thought you would ever be able to live. So how many women on this live feed, and even if you're not watching live, comment in the sections below if you have ever felt like you're just stuck in one place, like you keep repeating the same pattern and you keep ending up having the same feelings that you don't want to be having. So either put the thumbs up or hearts on here, or type yes in the comments, just so I can know that you're getting this, because that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that people are done suffering, that people just want to know, women in particular, women want to discover how they want to be living, how they want to be feeling, and they know that they cause some of their own suffering. Now, suffering is a part of life. It's kind of like fear, it's kind of like sadness, happiness, all of those things. But the suffering I'm talking about is excessive. This constant like beating up of yourself, this constant thinking that if I don't sacrifice what I want for someone else, I won't ever get what I want. You don't have to sacrifice in order to get what you want necessarily. You don't always have to be giving, because sometimes the giving causes you suffering because you give up what is necessary for you to be the woman you want to be, to live the life you want to live. And so there's some questions that I'm going to present tonight that you can ask yourself in that moment. And these questions can be used over and over and over again. And they can even be customized to how you need to ask them to yourself. So as I go over these questions, really feel this space of what is really happening, like what is the suffering? And notice whether it's a pattern of behavior that you keep coming back to. Hey, Joelle. Hi, Tammy. Nice to have you. We're talking about suffering. Do you guys know anything about suffering? Possibly self-inflicted suffering? Repeating the same pattern over and over and over again? Do you guys know about that? I know about that. And I worked all day today, and everyone that I've seen this week so far has like a heaviness about them. And there's a lot of energy about, oh, I'm the one that did this. And I get that, right? I'm the number one personal responsibility person. No one's got to tell you that over and over and over again. But sometimes when we get in that pattern of behaving about it's my fault, about, oh, well, I'll handle it, or I'm the only one that can handle it, the suffering becomes too excessive, and then it ruins or what am I talking about? It enables us not to live the life that we want to be living. So the first question I want you to ask yourself is, what is happening right now? So come into the present moment, because suffering is caused not by something that we experience, but our reaction to whatever we are experiencing. And this goes along with all those other things that I've ever said in my one true message is stop looking externally and start looking internally, because your answers are inside of you. They're already here. You already know. And when we can realize that, how many of you have realized that you have the answer to some of the most pertinent or important questions that you want to know? How many of you have experienced that in your life? When the minute you started settling down and going back within, you found the answer of what you needed. It didn't take a book to show you the answer. It didn't take having to talk to 10,000 of your friends and asking their opinion. Because when you ask someone else's opinion, what you're doing is looking to validate your own thought, your own, whether you're right. Excuse me. People ask me all the time, what should I do? What should I do? And everything I do is direct them back inside, back within. So what is happening right now? What is really happening? What are my thoughts about? Because often our thoughts just create beliefs. This pattern of thinking creates a belief that may not need to be your truth if you decide that it isn't. So what I want to know, is anyone on here? Hey, Ashley, nice to have you. Is anyone on here right now that has changed a thought process, a belief about themselves that has helped them end some way of suffering? It's helped you end that. And if you have, type yes or no in the comments. If you have, tell me just the topic of which you've changed your belief, your thought about something. One thought that I believed for a really long time was that no one was going to be there for me but me. And so I didn't really trust anybody. And I lived a life always feeling like I didn't have any attachments. I kept myself, definitely at arm's length. And when I decided to change that belief, that thing that I had told myself for several years, then I was able to have a relationship and relationships with people that I loved and enjoyed and that I could trust. And some of those relationships have been around now with me for years. So Veronica says, control at work. Tell me a little bit about how the thought that you can control things at work, that you can, because that's something we're going to touch on. So the first question is, when you're experiencing suffering, when you're experiencing yourself in a situation that you don't want to be in, feeling a way that you don't want to feel, be present. Come into the moment now. Stop interpreting, oh, this is just like this, or if I don't do this, it's going to worry. Come now in the present. Come back to the present and ask yourself, what thought am I having and what belief is that attached to? Because just because you believe it doesn't mean you have to continue to believe it. You have the power to change that. So, the second question you're going to ask yourself is, have I suffered enough? The suffering comes from thoughts. The suffering comes from beliefs that no longer suit you. That's the other thing I've heard. People have experienced these things and they no longer want to experience that because it doesn't match. It doesn't match their authentic way of being. And so when they discover that, it's really hard to break free from a habitual pattern. How many of you know that it's hard to break free from a habitual pattern? Put thumbs up or hearts or yes in the comments. I mean, it's difficult. But the one question that ultimately does it is, have I had enough? So when you're thinking about that, is this enough for me? And you don't have to continue suffering to think until you deserve to be happy. Don't wait. Why are you waiting? Why do we put it off? Why do we do it one more time, something for one more person that we then end up resenting them for and then feeling like we don't want to feel? Because that's not the kind of woman you want to be. So you decide, have I suffered enough? And if you haven't, you better own that. You better own that and say, no, I haven't. I'm choosing to learn this lesson again. I'm choosing to have this come back, hit me smack in the face, and then feel this again. Because for some reason, I feel like I deserve to feel it over and over and over again, and you don't. So, have I suffered enough? First question is, what is happening right now? Come into the present. Don't go into the past. It's not the same as the past. It's impossible for it to be the same. Your feelings are just matching a situation that you've had in the past. And that's what you equate it to. But that's not what's happening in the moment. So you're going to be present. What is happening right now? Have I suffered enough? You're creating an interpretation by thought. Right? So Veronica says, I thought I had to control at work, so I caused myself a lot of anxiety and couldn't leave work at work. Now I can walk away knowing that I've done all I can for the day and feel at ease. Whoa, that's huge. Hey, Margaret, glad to have you. We're talking about suffering. Do you know anything about that? So that's huge. You did something and created more ease in your life. You created a core desired feeling that you wanted to have, right? That's what Danielle Laporte's stuff is about. Creating and identifying core desired feelings so that everything that you want. So Veronica, you wanted to leave work at work and have a life outside of there. And you did that. So that is awesome. Veronica says it's life-changing. You're remarkable too. Ashley says, hey Rachel, yes, I'm constantly trying to change my thought process when I'm feeling like I'm not doing enough or when I'm hard on myself. Yeah. How many of the women on here are hard on themselves? That causes a lot of suffering. Well, I should have. Well, I didn't do enough. Well, I didn't make them feel happy, or I didn't make them feel better. Well, the bottom line is, unless they're your children, you're not responsible for making other people feel better. They're adults. You're not in charge of making people feel better. And if you want to be responsible for that, then you can continue to cause yourself suffering and anxiety, thinking that you're not doing enough to help other people, but you are. Excuse me. So Veronica says it was life-changing. Yes, it can be life-changing. It's remarkable. Margaret says, LOL, nope, but I'm having spine surgery on Monday. but she knows nothing about suffering. So have you guys ever had suffering with health because you kept on doing the things that you know you didn't want to be doing or that weren't healthy for you? And if you say yes to that, then I would ask you why you think you deserve to suffer. So what's happening right now? Have I suffered enough? Suffered enough is all about what are my thoughts, what is my interpretation of what's happening, and then I react in a certain way. Then the third one is, how else do I want to live? Besides living in suffering, how do I want to live in this moment? That comes back to the present. What is really happening here, and how do I want to live instead of this way? So when you're in a relationship, any kind of relationship, this is a really common one, and you constantly feel like you're doing something to help the other person, or you don't want to upset them, or you want to make sure that they like you still, or all that kind of stuff, that is causing suffering. And so you're like, well, I'm going to try one more time, or I need to do this to help them. If you help yourself, you will help them. I guarantee it. When you free yourself, you free other people. And no one says that you're the one that's in charge of helping everybody and being everybody's answer. If you think that you need to be the answer to people's problems, then I would really challenge you to say, why do you have to do that in order to feel important? I help a lot of people, but I don't do this job because I have to help them. When people come to me, when women come to me and ask me questions and they're seeking their true, authentic self within, what we do is we do an exploration. What they find is what they find. My self-worth is not determined on how the outcome comes out. Because I'm not putting that on them, and I'm not putting that on me. It's a joint discovery when I work with women. And if you feel like you're really ready to make some movement, if you feel like you're really ready to hear some honest feedback and to move forward, then I can help you. But we have to go back and say, what is happening right now? Am I done? Am I done suffering? It's like when you eat a big old honkin' chocolate cake. I don't know if any of you have done this, but you're like, oh my gosh, I can't stop eating it. And then you're like, oh crap, right? You don't have to, in that regard, you don't have to eat the cake and then think you're going to be happy afterwards. You don't have to suffer. Or when people say, well, I'm going to keep doing this until I can't stand it anymore, and then I'll change. But you don't have to suffer all that. We don't have to suffer. You get to choose. That's the beauty of it all. You choose. How many of you want to choose every single day? Hey, Stephanie. How many of you want to create the life you want to be living? And stop being this woman that says, well, I have to. You don't have to. You don't effing have to do anything. That's the bottom line. You choose to love and care for your family. That's your choice. Instead of, well, I can't. Well, you could if you wanted to. You could do whatever you want to do. Yes, you made it. Yeah. So, have I suffered enough? Have I experienced enough pain? And how else do I want to live? When you figure out how much is enough and you stop reacting, what do you actually have control over? How else do I want to live? What do I have control over? I have control over my choices. You have control over your choices. The dilemma of whether to choose one thing or not, whether to feel like I'm giving up another part of my day for someone else rather than spend it in a bubble bath, or rather than spend it in some fellowship with my friends, or rather spend it with your husband or whoever. Like, that's your choice. So what do you have control over? You have control over your choice. You have control over your thoughts. It's not easy. How many of you think controlling your thoughts is easy? Put yes or no in the comments. You have the choice. So what do you have control over? And what is it going to take? How else do I want to be living besides this way? What is it going to take? Because if you don't commit, you won't get it. If you don't say, I am determined to be this type of woman, what kind of woman do you want to be? Tell me in the comments. List 3 different descriptors of the type of woman you want to be in any moment. If you can decide that, that drives the decisions. That lessens the suffering because you walk away, just like Veronica said, knowing that you've done everything that you could. There's no doubt, there's no resentment, there's no regret, there's no guilt, there's nothing except I have done good. And all of you do good and are good enough. You're doing a great job. I mean, how many times we don't hear that, right? So it's not that we want to end all the suffering. Suffering can teach us some really great lessons. What I'm talking about tonight is your ability, the empowerment for you to decide how much you want to suffer and how much you don't. And to be present and notice in that moment, am I feeling the way that I want to feel? What kind of woman do I want to be right now? If I want to be a woman of authenticity, then what that means is I speak my truth respectfully to myself and to other people. It's not a free-for-all, but what that means for me, what are those things that drive your life to living to be the woman you want to be in any situation? They don't change. I'm the same in my office as I'm the same in this office, as I'm the same at home, as I'm the same with my friends. You can tell, you can ask them all. How many of you on here know that I'm the same no matter what I'm doing? Like, this is how I am. This is how I choose to be. This is how I choose to live my life. Own that for you. Develop this fierce confidence, this laser clarity in your life that I want to be in this moment a woman with integrity. A woman that shows compassion for myself first and for others. A woman who doesn't lose sight of a true purpose. Right? What kind of woman do you want to be? Ashley says, nice, Ashley. Ashley says, inspiring, self-loving, independent. 3 things. I aspire to be not just now, but in the future. Yes, Ashley. Yes, yes, yes. How many of you? I mean, like, Ashley responded. I don't see any other responses on there. I want to hear. Tell me. Tell me how you want to be. Tell me how you want to be in interacting in this world. Because if you commit to how you want to be, then you end up living the life you want to live. Do you see the connection? And at any point in time, you can say, is this fit or does this not fit? And if it doesn't, then you adjust it. Hey, Jesse, you made it on. So Margaret says, I want to be calmer, stronger, and healthier. And so, Margaret, you are doing things, Stephanie says driving, you are doing things right now that support all of that within you. Right? You're committed. You have to commit to you. Well, actually, that's a wrong statement. You don't have to. If you don't want the life that you want to have, if you don't want to live the way you want to live, then you don't have to do anything. Keep living the way you are. But I'm daring you that if you're on this live, and even if you watch it recorded, you know that you want to keep being and living and being the woman you want to be. Because people don't show up on here unless they want to keep going. Jessie says, I'm late, but I'll rewatch. Awesome. Veronica says, appreciative. She wants to be a woman that is appreciative, genuine, and honest. Nice. Joelle says, assured in who I am. Yes. So confidence, Joel, right? You want to develop that fierce confidence to know that you can handle anything in any situation and by being in the way that is important to you. Joelle, give me a couple of descriptors there. What kind of woman do you want to be? Margaret says, I'm going to get one more surgery. Yep. Get one more surgery because you know or feel that it's the best thing for you. Dawn says, yes to confidence. Confidence, confidence. I want to be a woman who is confident in my interactions, confident in knowing what I need to be doing in a situation, confident in knowing how to respond to someone I may love and care about in a situation, confident in responding to someone else who might be a friend, who might be a client. When the confidence goes all over, the fierce confidence is everywhere. It doesn't just stay in one spot. So, review the 3 questions you're going to ask yourself when you are suffering. And I want you to take 100% responsibility for the answers. What is happening right now? How are my thoughts affecting the way that I am being and feeling? If you don't want to be and feel that way, then change the thought. If you need more information about that, private message me and I can help you figure those things out. This is what I do for a living now, and I love it. So, question number 2, have I suffered enough? And if I feel like I haven't, why do I feel like I need to continue suffering? Why do you need to continue suffering? What does that do for you? Have I suffered enough? If the answer is yes, you can change a thought, you can change a behavior, and you can live the life you want to live. Be the woman you want to be in that very moment. If you haven't suffered enough, then just say, no, I don't think I'm done suffering. But don't walk around acting like you're suffering for no reason. You decide. Question number 3, how else do I want to be living right now? What kind of woman do I want to be right now? What are my core desired feelings if I want to be operating in confidence? If I want to be operating in integrity? If I want to be operating in honesty, right? What does that mean in this interaction? Respectfully to yourself first and to other people. The women on here are not women who want to disrespect and not inspire and not empower and not be a positive impact in the world. The women on here want that. Do all of you want that? Hearts or thumbs up, yes or no? Jessie says, I want to be strong yet okay with being vulnerable. Yes. Not feel weak showing emotion. You can show emotion all day here, Jessie. It's not weak. In fact, I mean, like, I cried just a couple, times ago. This is how it goes. So yes, I can feel that, right? And that not feel weak showing emotion. Emotion isn't weakness. I think vulnerability is a huge, huge, powerful way of being. How many people have ever been with someone who's been able to be vulnerable and then you were able to feel the connection between the two people? And I'm not talking like husbands and wives. I'm talking about just friends, right? So, what's happening right now? Have I suffered enough? And how else do I want to live right now? The 4th tip is, how do I want to be? What kind of woman do I want to be? What are my core desired feelings in my life that they dictate my decisions, my behaviors, my way of thinking? Okay, so those are the tips. You guys got all that? Push yes in the comments below or thumbs up and hearts. Let me know that you got all that. If you're not watching live, I would love, 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 and I know the other women on here would love to hear the kind of woman you want to be. The core desired feelings of your life. Okay, good. So I see you guys are getting it, right? Okay, so I want to empower all of you to know that you don't have to suffer anymore. You don't have to suffer anymore. Suffering is not needed to make your life better. You don't have to have extended suffering. It's not a prerequisite to joy and ease and happiness. Sometimes it alerts us. But for extended periods of time, it's not needed. So I'm giving you permission, and now I want you to give yourself permission to not suffer anymore. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart, like you have it within you. You're complete, whole, and perfect just as you are right now. And you do not need to suffer anymore. So take these 3 questions, use them over the next week. And what I would really, really love is for you to post some of the ways you have been able to end your suffering. Because what that's going to do for all the other women that are on the site, which is now 189, we're like 21 or 22 away from 200. So if you guys want to share this, share, because we only have a few to reach 200 by the end of this month, which was my goal. So share. Allow other women to be inspired by you, because you are all inspiring. So, complete, whole, and perfect just as you are. There's no more need for suffering. And then you can experience joy, peace, and ease, okay? So Margaret says, I just said nope and stopped interacting with that person. Yes. Yes. It takes guts. It takes guts, and you guys all have them. The gumption, right? The gumption. All right. So I love you all. Thank you so much for being on here. If you know other women that might benefit, please share this group with them. Tell everyone that you know so we can get as many women on here as possible. And we're going to have some cool stuff coming up, so I'm excited about that. And, I just forgot. Brain fade just went out. But anyway, look for those things, and I'm going to have a challenge coming up. Oh, let me know in the Facebook page. Maybe I'll put a post. Let me know what kind of challenge you guys want to do next. What kind of things you want to hear about. I want to know what you need. I'm here to help you guys live the life you want to live, be the women you want to be. All right. So go out there, live with fierce confidence, laser clarity, and passionate purpose. I love you all, and I hope you have a great rest of the night. Bye. Mwah.